Without happy employees, you cannot create happy customers, okay? Then, with that, you cannot sell more cars, meaning you cannot get your market share. And if you're not getting none of those, your profits are not going to be there, right? So you got to focus on the right things.
You're listening to the Auto Advice Podcast, brought to you by Toyota of Cool Springs. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Auto Advice Podcast. Today, we got a pretty cool episode for you because we have George Girjel in the podcast studio today. George, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Kyle. Glad to be here. This is awesome.
Awesome. I'm excited to have you because we're going to dive into some really cool content that we've heard some questions from you guys about, not just from customers, but from other business owners. We're going to talk about customer satisfaction, but not only that, but also employee satisfaction, and I'm excited for today's episode.
But yeah, everybody, glad to be here. Glad to be here with Kyle to discuss a couple things as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, is what's really driving any business, any corporation. What's the success behind some of these businesses that's out there? I'll start with how I measure myself, basically, and how I measure my team. And it starts with Employee Satisfaction Index, ESI, because everybody in a car business, or anywhere, any business know what CSI stands for, which is Customer Satisfaction Index. It's just basically a measurement, a score that you get based on how well you take care of your customers, okay, from the surveys and things of that nature. So ESI is number one, CSI is number two, then we'll go to market share and profitability. So those are four things that the way I look at it, the way how I see the business should strive, okay. And the funny part is, we've talked about this before, when I first interviewed with my partner, he asked me, just was asking me questions, in general, all over the place, how I operate and how I do things. And I told him, just like that, ESI, CSI, market share, and profitability. And the very first question he had was like, oh, wow, profitability is the last thing. That's what we all in the business for. That's why there's businesses out there, is to create profit. And I said, it's definitely the last thing on my mind when it comes to running the business, but it's definitely the most important one, of course. However, I truly believe that, you can have the rest of the three without employee satisfaction, okay? And let's discuss that, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. When we jump into these four steps, what I'd love to kind of show people is your background and how you got into the car industry and how you kind of arrived at the perspective that you have. Yeah,
absolutely. So, I've been in car business now for 5 years, and I know it sounds like it's been forever, and it is forever, I guess. But I started moving cars, washing cars. Obviously, at that time, when I moved to this amazing country, my English was not that good, so it's a little bit better now. A little bit. But, so I had to do what I had to do, and then finally I was able to get into the sales, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was one of the easiest jobs, and every customer is different, and everything is different. So you sit up front of them and just listen to them and try to figure out what you can do, how you can do it, how you can take care of them and everything else. And then from there, kind of, did my best, worked really hard, and got in management and kind of grew from there, so... But that's kind of just in a nutshell.
I love it. Yeah. And, you've mentioned in the past, the car industry was a little bit different than it is now. And perhaps that's kind of a contributing factor to how you think about taking care of your employees. What was your experience like back then? Yeah, the experience was pretty crazy, and I've had a lot of good people, in my career that attributed to my success that I love to listen and I love to learn from, and very respectful people, very good car guys. But the biggest thing was there was no respect for anybody, from upper management to lower management to the salespeople, and I just could never understand, how could you not, when you sit down with an employee and you actually want to help them and you actually trying to figure out what you can do to get them to the next level, those good conversations really didn't happen. It was basically get the job done or you're out of here, so it was never, we got basic training and everything else, but I just could never understand how it's to me it was very simple to put the hand on somebody's shoulder and say, hey, listen, you're so much better than that. You're having issues in this area, so let's discuss this, let's talk about it, let's figure out how you can do better so we all can do better, And it's very, very simple. It's not that complicated, but yet it's just not happening. Well, it's happening a lot more nowadays, I believe, than it was back then. You know what I'm saying? So,
it was pretty tough, at first, because, here you are all excited with the customer and ready to do the deal, and then you go to the sales desk and you pretty much get pooped on your head, for very little things that don't even matter, you know what I'm saying? Rather than, oh, great, you got a customer, that's awesome, let's go say hi, let's rock and roll, let's make it happen. What are you at in the process? All of those exciting things, a lot of leaders, a lot of managers lack, and I don't want managers, I want leaders in my positions. Managers to me is somebody who manages numbers and things like that. Leader, somebody that leads people to the greater, to the growth, to a better success, Mm-hmm. And it's so simple, really. When everybody around you on your team, successful and doing well, my job becomes so easy. And it's a lot more fun that way. I always tell guys, hey, listen, let's hire attitude. Let's hire smile. Let's hire energy. We can teach everything else. We can teach the process. We can teach, the product. But you can't really teach some of the other things, And my goal was always, when you talk and interview, you have really anybody on the team, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at on that specific person? And let's say they 6. Okay, then you go, okay, so how do I get this person from 6 to 10? How do I get a person from 4 to 8? How do I get a person from 6 to 10, from 8 to 10? And you constantly move in that bar. Mm-hmm. And people have a lot of potential in them. What amazes me is the potential that people have. But yet there is no leaders to get it out of them. They inside, you just got to unlock it, and you got to do it the right way. That's really the basics of what I grew up in, that it was just running and gunning. There was not much of a respect, from salespeople to managers, from managers to the salespeople. So it was just one of those things. It was really, really crazy. But I enjoyed it. I loved it. I knew there was a lot of silver lining in all of that. And here I am today, so...
Absolutely. And just for maybe folks who don't know as much, what was it like when you came into, you're actually now operating 2 dealerships yourself personally, right?
Yes, sir.
And I've been in this culture for maybe the last 3 or 4 years, doing various things from sales to running media here.
Yeah.
And I think the first thing I noticed was the energy.
Yes.
And the energy that I think comes from yourself and that you've trained and that you've hired in the rest of your leadership. Can you talk about the impact on the customer experience and the impact on, honestly, the bottom line?
Yeah. So let's just go back to the ESI. Okay. So sure. ESI, CSI, market share, and profitability. So again, when my partner asked me those questions, like why, well, the profitability is the last thing, and I told him, I said, listen, to me, what's important is employee satisfaction. If your employees are taken care of, if they have a decent schedule and they have a good pay plan, but mainly they're taken care of, and they want. They know they want it to be a part of the team, So basically, you want to create a culture where people, when they wake up in the morning, they want to go to work versus they have to go to work. It's 2 different things. It's a night and day when somebody wakes up in the morning and exciting goes like, oh man, I'm ready. I'm gonna just go to work and have a good day and be very productive. So. That's what it all starts. Because without that, without happy employees, you cannot create happy customers, okay? Then, with that, you cannot sell more cars, meaning you cannot get your market share. And if you're not getting none of those, your profits are not going to be there, right? So you got to focus on the right things, okay? People focus a lot on, when you ask a question, oh, yeah, it's a CSI and profit. That's the most important thing. Well, they are important, but how do you really execute those properly to where you don't have to think about them, right? And it just happens organically. So back to ESI, employee satisfaction index to me is extremely important, okay? It's the number one thing, okay? And the rest of the team is the same way, So we want people, again, wake up in the morning and ready to rock and roll, okay? And then customers come in and they see that. We hear it from customers all the time. We hear it from vendors all the time, the bankers, the lenders, whoever comes to our dealership, they always say, when we walk into your stores, it's just an amazing energy. Everybody upbeat, everybody excited, everybody we want to be a part of it, and that's a big deal also when customer walks in the showroom and they see all that happiness and excitement and all those good things going on, right? They want to be a part of it. This is where you want to do business. There's stores you go to or businesses, you walk in and it's like literally morgue, it's like, oh my gosh, they don't want to be here. The employees, you can see it on their face. Why would I want to be here, and that's just a problem right there. And, for the last 5 years or so, 5 or 6 years, we are the only car dealership in the Middle Tennessee to receive the top employee satisfaction award.
Wow.
So and I know you've seen them, you post them on social media and stuff like that, but
Sure.
there's a lot that comes into that, because when they do employee survey, it is extremely length, like questions wise, it's a lot. And it doesn't just ask, do you like this place, or how is it? It asks about the pay plan, the treatment, the schedule. There's a lot of good questions there, So, and we want to know. So then we collect all the data and we look at it, and we're like, oh, okay, you know what? We need to do a little bit better in this area. We need to tweak this a little bit better. We need to listen to our employees, And it's another thing, we do have our monthly department leaders meeting. Basically, we don't meet with directors of the departments, but we have representative from each department that will bring everything to the table, and we'll sit down and go over everything, whatever it is, whether they need more equipment to do the job better, whether there's something broken, whether we need to hire more people. Whatever it is, we sit, we talk, we put it in writing, and we attack it. We don't wait too long to make this happen, because we don't want to slow down nobody, So, but again, so that's where employee satisfaction starts.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And you've talked a lot about creating a culture that is going to last a long time. And one thing that I've noticed actually for my entire time being here is people seem to stick around. And,
Yes.
What is your philosophy on developing employees and then encouraging people to stick around for the long haul?
Yeah, turnover in any business it's a horrible thing. It's a tough thing to deal with, in any business. And people come and go and everything else, and it costs so much money and so much resources every time we lose a person. Now of course you're going to lose some people. Some people just maybe didn't work out, maybe didn't like it, maybe just want to do something else. And mainly, of course, we want to have the right people in the right places. Also, that's very important. That's another very important thing. You can't just take a person and put them in a position you feel like they're going to do well. You want to make sure they want to be in that position, okay? Because when somebody wants to be in that position and they're excited about it, it's you're done. You're good to go. This is going to happen, because you don't have to try to push that person. He will do himself what's necessary to be successful. You're just going to be there to help them, give them resources, a little training or tools, whatever they need. But yeah, it's the turnover is a horrible thing. It costs a lot of money. And you look at the stores that do have a bad customer satisfaction index, and you look at their turnover, there is direct parallel of bad CSI and huge turnover.
Wow.
Because you keep churning people, it means that you can never build a culture and have a set culture in place. So there's a constant change, okay? And that constant change gets transformed to the customers, okay? So, and it just never works out. But like I said, when you look at the stores with bad CSI, it's not just there's bad people, bad leaders, it's also one thing. But turnover is the biggest one, because you're constantly teaching people and bringing them up to speed, and then you're losing them, and then you start all over again,
Sure.
all over again, all
Sure.
over again, and you never get from point A to point B. You get stuck between A and B, and it's a failure.
I hear you. And I think what sticks out about this store, kind of my firsthand experience, is I've seen people go from, being a guy on the sales floor all the way up to manager, some guys that are in finance now that started out in sales. You've told me about, you've got some guys who came up there.
Yeah, we have pretty amazing stories at both locations. The examples are all over the place. Like our service director, Racine, who is an amazing person, a ball of energy. We hired him. He was a lane porter. So he was greeting customers, putting plastic on the seats, paper on the floor, and moving car to the back for the service guys to work at. And now he's a service director, fast forward.
Amazing.
It's amazing. It's an amazing success story. And of course, a lot of it had to do with him, but we saw the talent, we saw the potential, we saw the commitment. And we're like, we're going to provide you everything, And another thing, just to kind of reiterate on that. So me and Chris, who's running operations here at Toyota, we always tell people that we are your support personnel. Okay, that's what we are. Yes, I'm the owner, he's the partner, but I am here to support you. And if I'll give you all the support and everything you need, guess what? Job gets done, it's a lot easier on me. So we don't look at it as a boss. We look at it as support personnel. What do you need for you to do your job better? Okay, so then just everything works out. It's pretty simple. I know it sounds pretty crazy, but yeah. Dina Hansen, she's our general manager, and I know people like, oh, female in the car business, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Male, female, you get the job done, you earn the stripes, you earn the positions. Dina was a sales associate when I first walked in here 13 years ago. She was selling cars. Now she's a general manager. Our new car director, Matt, came from the floor. I can just go down. Denzel came from the floor. Out of the 6 finance guys, 5 came from the floor. So all these guys have been with us. They earned respect. They earned it, and the culture just stays really, really strong, So, but
I love that.
Yeah, and it's just like I said, these people know what it takes. They know where to start the day. They know I don't have to remind them of nothing. They grew through my culture, okay, and it's just they know what they're doing and they're making it happen. So, but going back, so both my boys are here in car business. I didn't push neither one of them into it. I wanted them to be in it because it's an amazing business. I've built a career out of this, and but I wanted them to do this. But I gave them an option. You do whatever makes you feel happy. So now they're here. Eric sold cars for about a year and a half, and now he's a sales manager. Jeffrey's still selling cars. He's doing a good job. They're both working hard. I think, they hide from me a lot of times. And even my partner told me, George, you need to back off of your boys because you are so hard on them. But I think it's just the nature of the beast, where you want your kids to make sure they do the best. They start from the bottom. They earn their stripes and they earn their respect. I didn't want to just bring my kids into the management because they would fail. But when they start from the bottom and they learn what it takes, they just become so much better leaders, if it makes sense, So, and I never wanted to people say, oh, it's George's son. It's because of that. It's because of this. People might still say things like that. But when they see these guys working their butt off, putting all kinds of hours, doing all the right things, that makes me happy.
Yeah,
So
I love that.
Yeah.
I've got a little boy at home, and so when I see that, I'm like, man, come on with it. So that's really cool to see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I love that.
Yeah.
And kind of to wrap things up, what are some advice, I guess, that you would give maybe somebody who's considering the car industry? And what would you tell them?
Yeah, listen, the car business is a really good business. It's you have to find the right dealership that you fit in perfect, okay? Well, fit in good, I guess, start from there. And the product, you want to make sure you go, if you're going to get in the car business on the sales side, or the service side, doesn't really matter. You want to get into the product that you kind of like from the beginning a little bit, not just like, oh, I've got 5 of these brands, which one should I go to, Well, you should go to one that you kind of already sort of like. Maybe it's something you already drive, and then you have to find the right home, right dealership. And one thing I tell people all the time, when we do interviews, I really like how some people actually asking us questions versus us asking them questions, or why they should be part of the team. I like when people go like, why should I join you?
Wow.
You tell me, okay, why I should come and work for you, with you, and be part of this team, I love it. And we tell them and we talk about it. But when I hear that, and it's very rarely that it happens, but when I hear that, I right away know I have the right person. Okay? Because he's asking why we should hire him versus the other way around. And I like that. That means there's a value. That means there's something this person has that will be beneficial to this team and everything, and his success also. So, but people don't do that a lot, But once in a while you have somebody, hey, listen, why should I come sell cars here? There's tons of Toyota dealerships. There's tons of Chrysler dealerships,
Yeah.
So I like that.
That's good.
But I definitely would tell people, I mean, it doesn't matter what your parts department, body shop, service. So any department is good. I love the car business. It's a lot of fun. And I know people get a little bit scared and turned off when they hear commission, On one hand, I understand any job you have to perform, right? Whether it's hourly or it's salary or it's commission, right? But it's just when people hear commission, they get a little bit scattered and scared, But that should never be an issue. You just can't think like that unless you're just comfortable with what you're looking for. So
I want to press into that a little bit because the car industry is a little bit different, especially on the sales side. Yeah. And there's some people who maybe they're kind of okay with that 9 to 5 kind of comfortable thing.
Sure.
But I bet that there's some people that we're talking to right now who they do want to kind of control their income, maybe not have a capacity on it.
Yeah.
What's the advantage of working in a system like that?
Yeah, so the advantage is this, that you can make as much money as you possibly want to. It depends on your work ethics, your commitment to the process, commitment to the dealership, commitment to the customers, okay? So nobody going to come here and knock on your shoulder and say, hey, Kyle, you know what? You made too much money this month. You need to go home, you know? We'll come to you and say, Kyle, you're making all the money, but I think you can make more. So let's get to it. You see what I'm saying? So, but yeah, man, it's the potential of making money in this business are very, very, very strong.
I guess the last piece of advice, because this is kind of a different way of looking, ESI first. What would you give as far as advice to other business owners on how they could maybe adapt this philosophy to their own business?
Yeah, it's very simple, guys. If you're running a business out there, and it doesn't matter if you have 3 employees or 300 employees, you have to know your employees on personal level. You have to give them all the support and all the training and all the tools, but you have to know them on a personal level. Your door should always be open, okay? If any employee wants to come talk to you, there should be never an issue for them to think, oh, can I go talk to George or not? Now, we do have a chain of command, and we try to keep it that way, of course. However, our employees know that if they're not going to get the answer that satisfied their question, they are more than welcome to come see me, call me, text me. I get calls and texts all the time. People come see me all the time. They want to discuss something, so. But biggest thing is also a lot of leaders don't pay attention to their employees. And what I mean by that is very important. When I'm walking through the showroom and I look around, you have to be the noticer. You have to notice things. And I look around and I pay attention to what the body language is of my employees. You don't have to be a psychologist to see if somebody's having a bad day. And all of my guys do that, not just me, But if I see it, I will pull that person right away to the side. And I'll ask them, hey, is everything okay? What's going on? And it might be something small. It might be something in their life. We all have lives. So you have to talk about it and kind of tell them, hey, do you need another day off? Do you need to go take care of this and come on back tomorrow? So the flexibility has to be there, and you should be flexible with those that really perform. Okay, so this is performance-based business, just like anything else pretty much. So, if somebody needs an extra day off, maybe they worked a couple weeks in a row. Who knows, right? On their own choice. We have schedule, but you know how it is, right? So, but yeah, you've got to pay attention. You've got to talk to your people, and people need to know that you are that much on a personal level, and you can't be fake. You just cannot fake this, okay? This has to be real, And you can't solve every problem. You are not you're not Dr. Phil or Dr. Oz or Oprah at times, right? But that's what we are at times. You wear different hats as a leader, but you have to be connected with your employees 100%.
That's incredible, and it speaks to the culture that we have here, and I personally am thankful to be a part of it. It's great to hear. I love the opportunity, and and it's great to have you on the show. Absolutely, get to hear some of your backstory as well, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to leave us a review. This is a very new podcast. We're just getting this thing started. If you're watching this all the way back from the beginning, welcome. This is the Auto Advice Podcast. We're excited to have you here.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody. We can't wait to see you guys again. And again, like Kyle said, if there's any questions or any concerns, like something you want to know, my email is george@toyotaofcoolsprings.com. It's that simple. And the number here is 615-790-8401. I'm here pretty much, 3 days out of the week. Then I'm at my other store. Also, you can Google my name with Automotive News. Automotive News did a couple of interviews with me back in the day, and I've had tons of dealers, tons of businesses reach out to me for just an advice, and would love to help anybody out there. It's no problem at all.
Guys, he literally gave you his phone number, so take him up on it and send a message or give a call to George, and we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today on the Auto Advice Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please consider texting it to someone who could use it, and leave a review wherever you're listening, which will allow us to help more people navigate the ever-changing automotive world. The Auto Advice Podcast provides advice and opinions from individuals featured on the show. It is important to note that these opinions are solely those of the individuals and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Toyota of Cool Springs. Listeners should exercise their own judgment and discretion when considering and implementing any advice or information provided in the podcast. Toyota of Cool Springs assumes no responsibility for any actions taken by individuals based on the information or opinions shared in this episode. Please consult with professionals or experts in the respective fields for specific advice or guidance related to your particular situation. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Auto Advice Podcast.